The phone wouldn't stop ringing. Rachel Holloway pressed her back against the cool hallway wall outside the executive conference room, her fingers white-knuckled around the handle of her cleaning cart. Through the heavy oak door, she could hear voices rising in panic, words tumbling over each other in desperate chaos. The translator canceled. Food poisoning, she says. Giovanni Rossi is on hold right now. Right this second. Waiting. This deal is worth $47 million, and we're about to lose it because nobody here speaks Italian? Rachel's heart hammered against her ribs. She knew that name. Giovanni Rossi. The Italian manufacturing billionaire whose partnership could save Sterling Global Industries from the financial troubles everyone whispered about in break rooms and bathroom stalls. The deal that would protect jobs, including hers. Call another service. Call every service in the city. I already did. It's 6:47 on a Friday evening. Nobody's available for at least 2 hours. He'll hang up. You know he will. His assistant said he's only got 15 minutes. Rachel's hand moved to the door handle before her brain caught up with her body. 5 years of invisible work in these hallways. 5 years of emptying trash cans while executives talked around her like she was furniture. 5 years of night classes in Italian, squeezed between double shifts and her sister's medical bills, studying verb conjugations under fluorescent lights in empty offices while the city slept outside. Nobody knew. Why would they? Janitors didn't speak Italian. Janitors didn't dream in foreign languages or listen to Italian radio during lunch breaks or read Dante in the original text on subway rides home. The door felt heavy as she pushed it open. 7 faces turned toward her. 7 expensive suits in shades of charcoal and navy. 7 expressions that shifted from panic to confusion to something close to irritation in the span of a heartbeat. Rachel? Brandon Hayes, the CEO, stood at the head of the conference table, one hand on his hip, the other holding his cell phone like a weapon. His silver hair was perfectly styled despite the crisis, his blue suit crisp and commanding. This isn't a good time. The conference room needs to be cleaned later. I speak Italian. The words came out stronger than she felt. Rachel stepped fully into the room, her green cleaning uniform suddenly feeling like armor instead of shame. I heard you need a translator. I can help. The silence that followed felt thick enough to choke on. Then someone laughed. Timothy Chin, the chief operations officer, leaned back in his chair, his expensive watch catching the light. You speak Italian? Since when does the cleaning staff speak Italian? I've been studying for 5 years. Rachel kept her voice steady, her eyes on Brandon. Night classes at the community college. I passed the advanced proficiency exam last month. I can show you my certificates. This is absurd. Jennifer Park, the chief financial officer, shook her head, her black bob swinging. Brandon, we're wasting time. This woman pushes a mop. She's not qualified to translate a multimillion-dollar negotiation. Do you have another option? Rachel asked, surprising herself with her directness. Because I heard you say the translator won't be here for 2 hours. And he'll be gone by then. Brandon's jaw tightened. He looked at the phone in his hand, then back at Rachel. The air conditioning hummed in the background. Someone's stomach gurgled in the tense quiet. If she screws this up, we lose everything, Timothy said. If we do nothing, we lose everything anyway, Brandon replied. He studied Rachel with sharp blue eyes that seemed to calculate risk and reward in real time. You really speak Italian? Fluently? Yes, sir. Business Italian? Technical terms, contract language, that level? Yes, sir. I've been preparing for exactly this kind of work. Jennifer made a sound of disgust. Preparing? While mopping floors. While doing my job and pursuing my education simultaneously, Rachel corrected, meeting the woman's eyes without flinching. I can do this. I promise you won't regret giving me this chance. Have you ever felt invisible? Like your dreams were too big for the life others saw you living? If Rachel's story speaks to you, please subscribe and comment below with what you'd do if given one chance to prove yourself. Your support means everything. Brandon Hayes had built a billion-dollar company by trusting his instincts, even when logic argued otherwise. Rachel could see the moment his decision crystallized in the set of his shoulders, the slight nod of his head. Fine. He pointed to the phone at the center of the table, its red hold light blinking like a heartbeat. But if this goes wrong, you're fired. Not just from this translation job. From everything. Rachel walked to the conference table on legs that felt like water. 6 faces stared at her with expressions ranging from skepticism to outright hostility. Only Brandon looked neutral, arms crossed over his chest, waiting. The phone felt cold against her palm as she picked up the receiver. She pressed the button to take the call off hold. Took one breath. Then another. Buonasera, Signor Rossi. Mi chiamo Rachel Holloway, e sarò la sua interprete per questa conversazione. Good evening, Mr. Rossi. My name is Rachel Holloway and I will be your interpreter for this conversation. The response came immediately, a warm baritone with a Roman accent that made her years of study suddenly feel real and worthwhile. Finalmente, Signorina Holloway è un piacere. Dove imparato un italiano così perfetto? Finally. Miss Holloway, it's a pleasure. Where did you learn such perfect Italian? Rachel felt something loosen in her chest. He was being kind. Professional. He didn't care that she wore a uniform with her name embroidered over the pocket in simple letters, or that cleaning supplies still hung from her cart in the hallway. Ho studiato per 5 anni, signore. Sono onorata di assisterla oggi. I studied for 5 years, sir. I'm honored to assist you today. Bene bene. Allora parliamo di business. Good. So, let's talk business. For the next 40 minutes, Rachel became a bridge between worlds. Giovanni Rossi spoke rapidly about manufacturing processes, supply chain logistics, quality control standards. Rachel translated every word with precision, her voice steady and professional. When Brandon responded, she rendered his English into elegant Italian that captured not just the words but the intent behind them. She noticed things the original translator might have missed. When Giovanni used the phrase stringere la cinghia, literally to tighten the belt, she translated it as implement cost controls, rather than giving the literal phrase, knowing the idiom wouldn't carry the same weight in English. When Brandon talked about moving the needle, she explained the concept in Italian rather than attempting a word-for-word translation that would confuse. The executives around the table slowly stopped whispering to each other. Their expressions shifted from doubt to surprise to something approaching respect. Giovanni's voice grew warmer as the conversation progressed. Signorina Holloway, lei è molto più competent della persona che avevamo prima. Ha una comprensione excellente delle sfumature culturali. Miss Holloway, you are far more competent than the person we had before. You have an excellent understanding of cultural nuances. Rachel translated his compliment for the room, careful to keep her tone humble. Brandon's eyebrows rose slightly. Tell him we appreciate his patience with our scheduling issue, Brandon said. Rachel did, adding a touch of warmth to her Italian that she knew would resonate with Giovanni's formal but friendly manner. The conversation wound toward conclusion. Terms were agreed upon. Next steps established. A follow-up call scheduled for Monday morning at 9. Signorina Holloway, Giovanni said, his voice thoughtful. Vorrei che lei fosse presente anche per la prossima chiamata. Ha reso questa conversazione molto più facile. Miss Holloway, I would like you to be present for the next call as well. You made this conversation much easier. Rachel's breath caught. She translated the request. Brandon looked at her for a long moment. The room held its collective breath. Tell Mr. Rossi we would be happy to have Miss Holloway continue as our translator for this project. Relief and joy flooded through Rachel's body like warm honey. She thanked Giovanni in Italian, confirmed the Monday call time, and ended the conversation with the proper formal courtesies her classes had drilled into her. When she set down the phone, her hand trembled only slightly. The room erupted. That was incredible, said Michael Torres, the marketing director, a genuine smile crossing his face. I understood maybe 3 words of Italian, but I could tell she was good. Better than good, Brandon said quietly. He looked at Rachel with new eyes, reassessing. That was professional level interpretation. Where did you say you studied? Harbor Community College, sir. Night program. Professor D'Angelo taught most of my courses. D'Angelo? Jennifer's tone shifted from hostile to surprised. Antonio D'Angelo? He used to translate for the UN. Yes, ma'am. He teaches 3 nights a week. Brandon walked around the conference table until he stood directly in front of Rachel. He extended his hand. I owe you an apology, Miss Holloway. And a thank you. You may have just saved this company. Rachel shook his hand, her cleaning uniform suddenly feeling less like a costume and more like a chapter that was ending. I'm just grateful you gave me the chance, sir. How much do we pay you as a janitor? $15 an hour, sir. Consider yourself temporarily reassigned, effective immediately. $40 an hour as a contract translator until this deal closes. We'll formalize the paperwork Monday morning. Rachel's eyes burned with tears she refused to let fall. Thank you, sir. I accept. Thank you so much. Don't thank me. You earned it. Brandon turned to the rest of the room. Let this be a lesson. Talent can come from anywhere. We almost missed this because we made assumptions. Timothy Chen had the grace to look embarrassed. Rachel, I apologize for laughing earlier. That was wrong. Apology accepted, Rachel said simply because kindness and grace cost nothing. Jennifer Park remained silent, but the hard edge in her expression had softened into something more complex. Respect perhaps. Or at least recognition. As the meeting dispersed, Rachel stepped back into the hallway where her cleaning cart waited. She looked at the supplies, the mop, the bottles of solution she'd been using for 5 years. They'd served her well, given her income while she built toward something more. But she wouldn't need them after today. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. A text from her younger sister Angela. How was your day? Rachel smiled, her fingers flying across the screen. Everything just changed. I'll tell you when I get home. Love you. She pushed the cart toward the supply closet one last time, her reflection catching in the polished hallway windows. Same face. Same person. But somehow different now. Visible. Seen. Valued. In the conference room behind her, Brandon Hayes was already on the phone with Human Resources, setting in motion the paperwork that would change Rachel's life. In Rome, Giovanni Rossi smiled as he told his assistant about the remarkable translator he'd just discovered. And in her heart, Rachel Holloway felt something she'd almost forgotten how to feel. Hope. Monday morning arrived with the kind of nervous energy that made Rachel's hands shake as she buttoned her best-dressed shirt. The blue cotton was 5 years old, purchased for her college graduation, but it was clean and pressed and the brightest thing she owned that looked remotely professional. Her apartment bathroom mirror was small and spotted with age, but it showed enough. Hair pulled back neatly. Minimal makeup. Small gold earrings her mother had given her before passing away. She looked like someone trying very hard to be taken seriously. You look perfect, Angela said from the doorway, still in her pajamas, coffee mug in hand. At 26, her younger sister had their mother's warm brown eyes and easy smile. Like a boss. I looked terrified. That too. But mostly like a boss. Angela leaned against the doorframe. This is really happening, huh? I don't know. Maybe. Rachel smoothed her shirt for the 100th time. The contract is only for this one deal. If I mess up, I'm back to cleaning floors. Or worse, unemployed. You won't mess up. You spoke to a billionaire in Italian and he loved you. He loved that I could translate. That's not the same thing. Rachel. Angela set down her coffee and crossed the small bathroom to grip her sister's shoulders. Stop. You've been preparing for this your whole life. Every late night studying. Every missed party because you had class. Every time you chose books over fun. This is what it was all for. Rachel met her sister's eyes in the mirror. I'm scared. Good. Means you care. Angela squeezed her shoulders once, then let go. Now go show them what we already know. That you're brilliant. The subway ride to Sterling Global Industries felt different on a Monday morning. Rachel rode with the office workers instead of the early cleaning crew. She clutched a folder containing her certificates, her transcripts, her letters of recommendation from Professor D'Angelo. Proof that she belonged in this new world. The building's glass doors reflected the morning sun as she approached. Security guard Thomas Williams, who'd greeted her with coffee and conversation for 5 years, did a double take. Rachel? That you? Morning, Thomas. You seem to search for words. Different. Good different. What's going on? Got promoted. Sort of. Temporarily. She signed in at the desk, her hands steadier than she expected. Translating for a big deal. Thomas's weathered face split into a huge grin. Well, look at you. Always knew you were too smart for that cleaning cart. Congratulations. Thank you. The simple kindness in his voice made her throat tight. That means a lot. The elevator to the executive floor felt like ascending into another universe. Thick carpet replaced linoleum. Abstract art hung on walls instead of safety posters. The air smelled like expensive coffee and ambition. Brandon Hayes' assistant, Patricia Monroe, looked up from her desk when Rachel approached. The older woman's silver hair was immaculate, her maroon suit crisp and authoritative. Miss Holloway. Right on time. Patricia's voice was warm, professional. Mr. Hayes is expecting you. There's paperwork to complete before the 9 o'clock call with Mr. Rossi. Yes, ma'am. I have my documents. Rachel offered the folder. Patricia took it with a small smile. Excellent. Coffee while you wait? Mr. Hayes is finishing another call. Coffee would be wonderful. Thank you. The coffee came in a real mug, not a paper cup. Hot and fresh with real cream on the side. Rachel sat in a leather chair that probably cost more than her monthly rent and tried not to look as overwhelmed as she felt. The door to Brandon's office opened. He stepped out, phone still pressed to his ear, and gestured for Rachel to enter. She did, her heart pounding. The office was larger than her entire apartment. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city. A massive desk held multiple monitors, family photos in expensive frames, and a nameplate that simply read Brandon Hayes, CO. He finished his call and turned his full attention to Rachel. "Good morning. Patricia has your contract." "Yes, sir." "Good. Before we get to that, I want to be clear about expectations." He sat on the edge of his desk, his posture casual but his blue eyes sharp. "This isn't charity. The temporary contract is because we need you. If your work stays at the level you demonstrated Friday, we'll discuss a permanent position. If it doesn't, the contract ends when this deal closes." "Understood." "Yes, sir." "That's more than fair. Giovanni specifically asked for you. Said you were the best interpreter he's worked with in 20 years of international business." Brandon's expression softened slightly. That's high praise from a man who's famously difficult to impress. Pride bloomed warm in Rachel's chest. "I'll do my best to maintain that standard." "I believe you will." He checked his watch. "We have 30 minutes before the call. Let's review the contract terms so you understand what we're negotiating." For the next 25 minutes, Brandon walked Rachel through the intricacies of the manufacturing partnership. Production timelines, quality specifications, shipping logistics, payment schedules. He explained the business context, the market pressures, the reasons this deal mattered to Sterling Global's future. Rachel listened intently, taking notes, asking clarifying questions. She recognized this for what it was, a test. He was evaluating whether she could understand complex business concepts, not just translate words. "The main sticking point will be the exclusivity clause," Brandon said. "Giovanni wants our products exclusively for the European market. We're willing to agree, but we need protection if his distribution network fails to meet minimum sales targets." "So you want a performance threshold that voids exclusivity if not met?" "Exactly. But it needs to be phrased diplomatically." He's proud. "If it sounds like we doubt his capabilities, he'll walk." Rachel nodded, her mind already working on Italian phrases that would convey the business necessity without implying distrust. "I understand. I can frame it as a mutual protection clause rather than a one-sided demand." Brandon smiled. "You think like a negotiator, not just a translator." "That's good." At exactly 9 o'clock, Patricia connected the call. Giovanni's voice filled the conference room speaker, warm and energetic. "Buongiorno, Brandon. E buongiorno alla straordinaria signorina Holloway." "Good morning, Brandon." "And good morning to the extraordinary Miss Holloway." Rachel felt herself smile. "Buongiorno, Signor Rossi. È un piacere parlar di nuovo con lei." "Good morning, Mr. Rossi. It's a pleasure to speak with you again." The negotiation lasted 2 hours. Rachel translated contract clauses, financial terms, technical specifications. When Giovanni became animated about production quality standards, she matched his passion in English. When Brandon needed to push back on timeline expectations, she softened the language in Italian without changing the substance. The critical moment came when discussing exclusivity. Brandon laid out the terms carefully. "We need a minimum sales threshold of 15 million euros annually to maintain European exclusivity. If the distribution network falls below that for 2 consecutive years, the exclusivity clause becomes negotiable." Rachel took a breath, then switched to Italian. "Signor Rossi, Illinois Signor Hayes propone una clausola di protezione reciproca per la distribuzione esclusiva. È una misura prudente che protegga entrambe le nostre aziende e garantisce l'investimento reciproco sia valorizzato al massimo." Mr. Rossi, Mr. Hayes proposes a mutual protection clause for exclusive distribution. "It's a prudent measure that protects both our companies and ensures our mutual investment is valued to the fullest." She continued, "Con una soglia di 15 milioni di euro annui, entrambi sappiamo che la partnership funziona bene. Se la soglia non viene raggiunta per 2 anni consecutivi, potremo rinegoziare per trovare soluzioni che servono meglio entrambe le parti." With a threshold of 15 million euros annually, we both know the partnership is working well. If the threshold isn't met for 2 consecutive years, we can renegotiate to find solutions that better serve both parties. There was silence on the line. Rachel could feel Brandon's tension beside her. Then Giovanni laughed. "Signorina Holloway, lei ha un futuro brillante nella diplomazia. Ha preso una richiesta che avrebbe potuto offendermi e l'ha trasformata in una saggia misura di protezione reciproca." Miss Holloway, you have a brilliant future in diplomacy. You took a request that could have offended me and transformed it into a wise measure of mutual protection. Accetto I termini, he continued. I accept the terms. 15 milioni di euro all'anno e ragionevo. Se non riesco a vendere quella quantità dei vostri eccellenti prodotti, merito di perdere l'esclusività. 15 million euros annually is reasonable. If I cannot sell that quantity of your excellent products, I deserve to lose the exclusivity. Relief flooded the room. Brandon's shoulders relaxed visibly. The rest of the negotiation proceeded smoothly. Payment schedules were agreed upon. Shipping arrangements finalized. Launch timelines established. When the call ended, Brandon sat back in his chair and exhaled slowly. That was masterful. The way you framed the exclusivity clause saved the entire negotiation. Thank you, sir. I just tried to honor both perspectives. You did more than that. You understood what each side needed and found language that satisfied both. He stood, walked to his desk, and pulled out a business card. This is my direct line. You'll need it for the next few weeks as we finalize everything. Rachel took the card with fingers that trembled slightly. I appreciate your trust. You've earned it. Brandon paused, then continued. Patricia will have your first paycheck ready Friday. In the meantime, I'm assigning you an office. Nothing fancy, but you'll need a workspace. An office. Her own office. Rachel had to physically stop herself from crying. Thank you, sir. I won't let you down. I know you won't. Now go get settled. We have another call with Giovanni Wednesday at 2. Patricia will send you the agenda. Rachel left Brandon's office walking on air. Patricia met her with a smile and a key card. 3rd floor, office 347. It's small, but it has a window. Desk, computer, phone. You'll share an assistant with 3 other junior staff members. It's perfect. Thank you so much. The office was indeed small, barely large enough for a desk, 2 chairs, and a bookshelf. But the window overlooked the city, letting in natural light. The desk was clean and solid. The computer new. Rachel sat in the office chair and spun slowly, taking it all in. 1 week ago, she'd been emptying trash cans in this building. Today she had an office. Business cards on order with her name and new title. Contract translator. Her phone buzzed. Angela, how did it go? Rachel typed back. I have an office. With a window. He said I was masterful. The response was immediate. I'm crying. Mom would be so proud. Rachel looked out her window at the city spread below, thinking about her mother who'd worked 3 jobs to put 2 daughters through school. Who'd died too young before seeing either of them truly launch into careers. Who'd always believed education was the key to better lives. I hope so, Rachel whispered to the empty office. I really hope so. The rest of the day passed in a blur of orientation, paperwork, and IT setup. Rachel met other junior staff members who worked on her floor. Some were warm and welcoming. Others were clearly skeptical of the janitor who'd somehow landed an executive floor office. She didn't care. She had work to do. By Wednesday, Rachel had prepared thoroughly for the follow-up call with Giovanni. She'd researched Italian manufacturing regulations, studied the technical specifications of Sterling Global's products, and practiced potential negotiation scenarios until the phrases felt natural in both languages. The call went even better than Monday's. Giovanni brought his head of European operations onto the line, a woman named Francesca Lombardi who spoke rapid Milanese-accented Italian that would have confused a less prepared translator. Rachel kept pace effortlessly, earning a compliment from Francesca that made her glow with pride. Your translator is better than ours, Francesca said in Italian. Where did you find her? Brandon smiled when Rachel translated. Sometimes the best people are right under your nose. You just have to actually look at them. After the call, Brandon asked Rachel to stay. Giovanni wants to meet in person to sign the final contracts. He's invited our team to Milan in 3 weeks. Rachel's heart skipped. Milan. He specifically requested you be part of the delegation. Said your presence would make the negotiations smoother. Brandon watched her carefully. You have a passport? Yes, sir. I got one 2 years ago. Just in case an opportunity came up. Good planning. Patricia will handle your travel arrangements. Business class flight, hotel accommodation, meals, everything. You'll be there for 4 days. Rachel's mind spun. Italy. She was going to Italy. The country she'd studied, dreamed about, poured 5 years of her life into understanding. I don't know what to say. Thank you seems inadequate. Thank you is perfect. And Rachel? Brandon's expression grew serious. This is your chance to show you belong at this level permanently. Giovanni likes you. If you impress him in person, if this deal closes successfully, I'll create a permanent international relations position for you. Real salary, benefits, career path. But you have to prove you can handle it. I will. I promise. I believe you. He smiled. Now go tell your sister you're going to Italy. I imagine she'll want to celebrate. Rachel practically floated back to her office. She called Angela immediately. Italy. I'm going to Italy. Her sister's scream of joy was so loud Rachel had to hold the phone away from her ear. That evening, Rachel walked home instead of taking the subway. The spring air felt different. Warmer. Filled with possibility. She passed the community college where she'd spent so many nights, and sent a silent thank you to Professor D'Angelo. At home, she and Angela celebrated with cheap wine and expensive dreams. This is just the beginning, Angela said, raising her glass. Next stop, the world. Rachel clinked her glass against her sister's, believing it might actually be true. Kindness had opened the door. Hope had walked her through it. And love, for learning, for languages, for the possibilities that education created, was leading her forward into a future brighter than anything she'd dared to imagine. The first real paycheck arrived in Rachel's bank account on a Friday morning, and she stared at her phone screen for a full minute, certain there'd been an error. $40 an hour. 40 hours. Nearly $1,600 for 1 week's work. Before taxes, yes, but still. She'd been making that every 2 weeks as a janitor. Angela, she called out, her voice shaking. Angela, come here. Her sister appeared from the kitchen, spatula in hand. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. Everything's right. Look. Rachel held out her phone. Angela's eyes went wide. She grabbed Rachel and spun her around the living room of their small apartment, both of them laughing like children. We're going shopping, Angela declared. Real shopping. You need professional clothes for Italy, and we're not getting them from the thrift store this time. Rachel started to protest, but Angela cut her off. No arguments. You're representing a major corporation in a foreign country. You need to look the part. They went to the mall that afternoon, a place Rachel usually avoided because everything cost too much and wanting things she couldn't afford felt like torture. But today, with her bank balance healthier than it had been in years, she walked through those glass doors with her head high. The first store intimidated her. Everything was sleek and expensive looking. The saleswoman approached with the kind of smile that didn't quite reach her eyes, clearly sizing up whether Rachel belonged there. Can I help you find something? The tone suggested she hoped the answer was no. Yes. Rachel straightened her spine. I need professional clothes for an international business trip. Suits, blouses, appropriate shoes. The woman's expression shifted slightly. What's your budget? Before Rachel could answer with something modest, Angela jumped in. Whatever it takes to look professional. She's traveling to Italy for work. Money talked. The saleswoman's smile became genuine. Italy? How wonderful. Let me show you some excellent options. An hour later, Rachel owned her first real business suit. Deep green, perfectly tailored, with a cream blouse that made her skin glow. She added a second suit in royal blue and a third in deep red. Professional but colorful. Confident but not boring. Shoes came next. Real leather pumps in black and navy. Comfortable enough for walking but polished enough for boardrooms. At the checkout, Rachel handed over her debit card with only a small flutter of anxiety. The total made her wince, but Angela squeezed her hand. Investment in your future, her sister whispered. You're worth it. Walking out of the store with actual shopping bags full of nice things felt surreal. Rachel kept waiting for someone to stop her, to say there'd been a mistake, that janitors didn't get to buy $1,000 suits and plan trips to Europe. But nobody stopped her. Because she wasn't a janitor anymore. The weekend passed in a blur of preparation. Rachel researched Milan, practiced her Italian until the phrases felt like breathing, and reviewed everything she could find about Giovanni's company. She wanted to be ready for anything. Monday brought new challenges. Brandon asked her to attend her first executive strategy meeting. You'll translate if Giovanni calls, he explained. But mostly, I want you to understand our broader business context. If you're going to work in international relations, you need to think beyond just language. The meeting room filled with senior leaders. Jennifer Park, the CFO, took a seat across from Rachel and nodded politely. Timothy Chin offered a genuine smile. Michael Torres, the marketing director, actually asked Rachel's opinion on positioning their products for European markets. You've studied Italian culture, he said. What do you think would resonate there? What should we emphasize in our marketing? Rachel took a breath, aware that everyone was listening. Italians value craftsmanship and tradition. Sterling Global's 100-year history of manufacturing excellence would matter to them more than cutting-edge technology claims. They want to know things are built to last, that there's pride in the work. Michael nodded slowly. That's good. That's really good. Jennifer, can we refocus the European marketing budget to emphasize heritage over innovation? I'll have my team look at it, Jennifer agreed. Rachel felt a warm glow of accomplishment. They were listening to her, valuing her perspective. After the meeting, Timothy approached her. I owe you more than an apology. That first night I laughed at you. I judged you based on your uniform instead of your abilities. That was wrong and I'm sorry. Apology accepted, Rachel said simply. We all make assumptions sometimes. You're generous. Most people would hold a grudge. Grudges take energy I'd rather spend on moving forward. Timothy smiled. That's a good philosophy. If you ever need anything, my door's open. I mean that. The days until the Italy trip rushed by. Rachel divided her time between translation work, meetings, and intense preparation. Giovanni called twice more and each conversation went smoothly. He seemed pleased with how the contract details were progressing. Signorina Holloway, he said during their last pre-trip call, Sto aspettando con ansia di incontrarla di persona. Ho la sensazione che diventeremo buoni amici. I'm looking forward to meeting you in person. I have a feeling we'll become good friends. L'onore mio, Signor Rossi, Rachel replied warmly. The honor is mine, Mr. Rossi. 5 days before departure, Patricia handed Rachel a folder containing her travel documents. Passport, tickets, hotel information, itinerary. Everything organized perfectly. You're staying at the Palazzo Parigi, Patricia said. 5-star hotel in the city center. Mr. Hayes wants you well rested and comfortable. Rachel looked at the hotel information and felt her breath catch. The pictures showed marble lobbies, crystal chandeliers, rooms that looked like palaces. I've never stayed anywhere that nice. You'll get used to it, Patricia said with a kind smile. This is your life now, Rachel. You earned it. That evening, Rachel video called her sister from her new office. Look at this place I'm staying. She showed Angela the hotel pictures. Her sister whistled. You're living the dream. Mom would absolutely lose her mind. I wish she could see this. She can. Angela's voice went soft. Wherever she is, she knows. And she's so proud. The night before the flight, Rachel couldn't sleep. She lay in bed in her small apartment, listening to the city sounds outside, thinking about the girl who'd started cleaning toilets 5 years ago to pay for Italian classes. That girl had believed in something bigger. Had trusted that hard work and hope could open doors. That girl had been right. Rachel's alarm went off at 4 in the morning. The car service arrived at 5 to take her to the airport. Angela hugged her goodbye at the door, tears streaming down her face. Go show them what you're made of. I will. I love you. Love you too. Send pictures of everything. The airport intimidated Rachel with its early morning chaos, but she found the business class check-in easily. No lines. Comfortable chairs. Attendants who smiled and offered coffee. Brandon and the rest of the team met her at the gate. 5 people total. Brandon, Jennifer, Timothy, Michael, and Rachel. The core negotiating team. Excited? Brandon asked. Terrified and excited in equal measure, Rachel admitted. Good combination. Keeps you sharp. Business class on an international flight was a revelation. Rachel's seat reclined into a full bed. The flight attendants brought real meals on actual plates. She had her own entertainment screen, noise-canceling headphones, and enough legroom to stretch out comfortably. This is how you always travel for work? She asked Brandon across the aisle. He smiled. International trips, yes. We're not monsters. Comfort makes people more productive. Rachel worked for the first few hours, reviewing documents and practicing phrases. But eventually exhaustion won. She reclined her seat, pulled the soft blanket over herself, and slept better than she had in days. She woke to sunlight streaming through the window and the captain announcing their descent into Milan. Italy. She was really in Italy. The airport was modern and efficient. Rachel navigated the Italian signs easily, helped the team with passport control, and handled the customs questions when the officer asked their business in Italy. Outside, the spring air felt different. Warmer. Softer. The sky was a blue she'd only seen in paintings. A driver waited with a sign reading Sterling Global Industries. He greeted them in Italian, which Rachel returned fluently. The man's face lit up. Finalmente, un americano che parla italiano bene. Finally, an American who speaks Italian well. During the drive to the hotel, Rachel translated the driver's running commentary about Milan's history, architecture, and best restaurants. The team listened, charmed by the guide they hadn't expected. The Palazzo Parigi exceeded even the pictures. Marble floors gleamed under chandeliers. Fresh flowers perfumed the air. Staff in crisp uniforms moved efficiently, greeting guests in multiple languages. Rachel's room on the 5th floor had a balcony overlooking a private garden. The bathroom was larger than her bedroom at home. The bed looked like a cloud. She stood at the balcony, breathing in the Italian air, and let herself cry. Happy tears. Grateful tears. Overwhelmed tears. A knock on the door interrupted her moment. She wiped her eyes and found Brandon standing in the hallway. Team dinner in an hour. Giovanni wants to meet us tonight instead of waiting until tomorrow. He paused, studying her face. You okay? Yes, sir. Just taking it all in. I remember my first international business trip. It's overwhelming. But you belong here, Rachel. Don't forget that. She nodded, not trusting her voice. An hour later, dressed in her new green suit, Rachel joined the team in the lobby. They walked 3 blocks to a restaurant Giovanni had chosen. A place with warm lighting and the smell of incredible food drifting through open doors. Giovanni Rossi stood waiting outside. He was tall, probably mid-50s, with silver-streaked dark hair and warm brown eyes. He wore a perfectly tailored navy suit and smiled when he saw them approaching. Brandon, amico mio. He embraced Brandon with genuine warmth, then turned to Rachel. E tu devi essere la famosa signorina Holloway. And you must be the famous Miss Holloway. Rachel extended her hand, but Giovanni gently pushed it aside and kissed both her cheeks in the Italian manner. È un onore incontrarla di persona. Lei ha una voce bellissima al telefono, ma di persona è anche più impressionante. It's an honor to meet you in person. You have a beautiful voice on the phone, but in person you're even more impressive. Lei è troppo gentile, Signor Rossi. You're too kind, Mr. Rossi. Giovanni, per favor. Siamo amici adesso. Giovanni, please. We're friends now. Over dinner, Rachel translated between Giovanni and the team, but the conversation flowed beyond business. Giovanni asked about her background, how she learned Italian, what she loved about the language. He listened intently, asking follow-up questions, treating her like a valued colleague rather than support staff. You remind me of myself at your age, he said in Italian. Hungry for opportunity. Willing to work harder than everyone else. I started with nothing, you know. My father was a factory worker. I cleaned floors like you did. Really? Really? Now I own the factory. Life is strange and wonderful when you refuse to give up on your dreams. He raised his wine glass. To dreams that come true through hard work and a little bit of luck. Rachel clinked her glass against his, feeling the warmth of connection, of being seen and understood. The dinner lasted 3 hours. Rachel's cheeks hurt from smiling. Her heart felt full in a way she couldn't quite name. Walking back to the hotel, Brandon fell into step beside her. He likes you. Really likes you. This deal is going to close because of the relationship you've built. I just tried to be professional. You were more than professional. You were genuine. That matters more than people think. He paused at the hotel entrance. Get some rest. Tomorrow we tour his facilities and meet his whole team. It's going to be a long day. Rachel fell asleep that night in her palace of a hotel room, thinking about the factory worker's daughter who'd become a billionaire and the janitor who might just have a future brighter than she'd ever imagined. Hope and kindness had led her here. And love for the work, for the language, for the possibility of connection across cultures, would carry her forward. The morning sun over Milan felt different than sunlight in America. Softer somehow, golden in a way that made the whole city look like it belonged in a painting. Rachel stood on her hotel balcony, coffee in hand, watching the city wake up below. Her phone buzzed. Angela, tell me everything. Is Italy as beautiful as the pictures? Rachel typed back, more beautiful. I can't believe this is real life. It is real life. Your life. Stop pinching yourself and enjoy it. A smile tugged at Rachel's lips. Her sister was right. This was her life now. She'd earned it. The team breakfast at 8 o'clock was a quiet affair. Everyone focused on the day ahead. Giovanni had scheduled a full tour of his manufacturing facilities, followed by meetings with his executive team, then dinner with his board of directors. Big day, Brandon said, spreading jam on his toast. Rachel, you'll be translating all day. Are you up for it? Yes, sir. I'm ready. Good. Giovanni's team speaks some English, but he wants you there anyway. Says you understand nuance better than anyone he's worked with. Pride bloomed in Rachel's chest. She'd worked so hard for this. Every late night studying. Every weekend spent with textbooks instead of friends. Every moment of doubt when she'd wondered if it would ever pay off. It was paying off now. The car arrived at 9 to take them to Giovanni's headquarters. The building sat on the outskirts of Milan, a modern glass and steel structure surrounded by older factories. Inside, everything gleamed with efficiency and pride. Giovanni met them in the lobby, accompanied by a woman about Rachel's age with dark hair pulled into a neat bun and sharp, intelligent eyes. "This is my cousin Francesca Lombardi," Giovanni said in Italian. "She runs our marketing division. Francesca, this is the team from Sterling Global." Francesca shook hands with everyone, her English accented but clear. When she reached Rachel, she switched to Italian. "Giovanni has told me so much about you. He says you speak better Italian than half our staff." Rachel laughed. "He's exaggerating, but I appreciate the compliment. We'll see. I'm very particular about my language." But Francesca's smile was warm, teasing. The tour lasted 2 hours. Giovanni showed them production lines, quality control stations, packaging facilities. He explained his manufacturing philosophy: tradition combined with technology, craftsmanship supported by efficiency. Rachel translated everything, but she also found herself genuinely fascinated. The workers took obvious pride in their work. The facilities were clean, safe, well-maintained. This wasn't just a business. It was a legacy. "My grandfather started this company in 1952, Giovanni said, stopping in front of a black and white photograph hanging on the wall. It showed a young man in work clothes standing in front of a much smaller building. He had 6 employees and a dream. Now we have 600 employees and factories in 4 countries. He'd be proud," Rachel said softly in Italian. Giovanni's eyes misted slightly. "I hope so. I try to honor what he built while also moving forward." He turned to Brandon. "That's why your partnership matters. Your company has the same values: quality, integrity, respect for workers and craft." Brandon, receiving Rachel's translation, nodded seriously. "We believe businesses should build things that last. Not just products but relationships and reputations." "Exactly. That's why we'll work well together." The afternoon meeting with Giovanni's executive team was more intense. 8 people around a conference table discussing logistics, timelines, pricing structures. Rachel translated rapidly, keeping up with multiple conversations, making sure nothing got lost in the exchange between languages. Francesca sat across from her, occasionally jumping in with Italian clarifications or English translations. Rachel noticed the other woman watching her carefully, assessing. During a break, Francesca approached with 2 espresso cups. "You're very good." Giovanni wasn't exaggerating. "Thank you. You're pretty impressive yourself. Your English is excellent." "I studied at Oxford for 2 years. Languages come easily to me." Francesca took a sip of her espresso. "But you have something beyond language skills. You understand people. When Giovanni speaks with passion, you translate with passion. When Brandon is careful, you are careful. That's rare." Rachel felt herself flush with pleasure. "I just try to honor everyone's meaning." "It's more than that. You care. I can tell." Francesca's expression grew thoughtful. "Giovanni mentioned you were a janitor until very recently." "Yes. For 5 years." "And you studied Italian all that time?" "While working. Night classes. Weekends. Whenever I could." Francesca shook her head in wonder. "That's dedication. Most people would have given up." "I couldn't. It felt like my only chance for something better. And now I'm sitting in Milan, drinking espresso with a marketing executive, about to help close a multimillion-dollar deal. Life is strange." Francesca laughed, a genuine sound of delight. "Life is wonderful. And I think we're going to be friends, Rachel Holloway." The dinner that evening was held at a private dining room in one of Milan's oldest restaurants. Giovanni's board of directors, 6 serious-looking men and women in expensive suits, sat around a table laden with Italian delicacies. Rachel found herself seated between Francesca and an older gentleman named Carlo Benedetti, who spoke no English but had definite opinions about American manufacturing practices. "Gli Americani pensano solo ai profitti," he said sternly. "Americans only think about profits." Rachel translated for the table, then responded in Italian. "Not all Americans. Sterling Global has been in business for over 100 years. They prioritize quality and their workers' well-being. That's why Giovanni chose to partner with them." Carlo raised his eyebrows. "You defend your employers well." "I defend the truth. I've seen how they operate. They're good people running a good company. Giovanni, overhearing, smiled broadly. See, Carlo? This is why I wanted Rachel on this trip. She understands both sides and speaks honestly. The dinner conversation flowed between business and personal topics. Rachel translated effortlessly, but she also participated, sharing her own thoughts when asked. These powerful people treated her like an equal, valued her opinions, made her feel like she belonged at their table. It was intoxicating and terrifying in equal measure. Later, walking back to the hotel through Milan's lit streets, Brandon fell into step with Rachel while the others walked ahead. You impressed them. All of them. I just did my job. You did more than that. Carlo Benedetti never likes anyone, and he was laughing with you by dessert. Brandon paused under a streetlight. Giovanni pulled me aside before we left. He wants to make you a permanent offer. Rachel's heart stopped. What? International Relations Coordinator for the partnership between our companies. You'd work half-time for Sterling Global, half-time for Giovanni's company. Split salary, full benefits, travel between countries. He's offering $90,000 a year for your half. We'd match it. That's $180,000 total. The number was so large Rachel's brain couldn't quite process it. 6 months ago she'd been making $31,000 a year. I don't know what to say. Say you'll think about it. Talk it over with your sister. But Rachel? Brandon's expression was serious. This is a real opportunity. Not temporary. Not contract work. A career. What about Sterling Global? Would you really match his offer? In a heartbeat. You're valuable. This deal is closing because of you. The relationships you've built, the trust you've earned. That has worth. He smiled. So think about it. But don't think too long. Giovanni wants an answer before we leave Milan. Rachel walked the rest of the way in a daze. In her hotel room, she called Angela immediately despite the late hour. $180,000, she whispered when her sister answered. Did I hear that right? You heard right. Oh my God, Rachel. Oh my God. It's too much. It can't be real. It's real. It's your life. Say yes. Please say yes. I'm scared. Of course you're scared. This is huge. But you can do this. You've already proved you can. Rachel sat on her beautiful hotel bed, looking out at the Milan skyline. What if I fail? What if you succeed? What if this is just the beginning? Angela's voice grew soft. Mom used to say the only failure is not trying. You tried, Rachel. And you won. Tears streamed down Rachel's face. I miss her. I know. Me too. But she's watching. And she's so proud. After hanging up, Rachel sat on her balcony for a long time, thinking. A year ago, she'd been invisible. A janitor nobody noticed. Someone people looked through instead of at. Now a billionaire wanted to hire her. A CEO valued her skills. A whole team of international executives respected her work. The scared part of her wanted to refuse, to say it was too much, too fast, too good to be true. But the brave part, the part that had spent 5 years studying in empty offices and believing in better tomorrows, knew the truth. She'd earned this. Every bit of it. The next morning at breakfast, Rachel approached Giovanni's table. He looked up with a warm smile. Buongiorno, Rachel. Come hi dormito. Good morning, Rachel. How did you sleep? Bene grazie. Giovanni, I have an answer for you. His eyebrows rose. Already? Brandon said I should give you more time. I don't need more time. The answer is yes. I accept your offer with gratitude and excitement. Thank you for believing in me. Giovanni stood and pulled her into a hug. No, thank you. You're going to help us build something great. Together. Brandon, sitting nearby, grinned. Guess I should make it official too. Welcome to Sterling Global's International Relations Division, Rachel. Permanently. Sometimes the biggest leaps happen when we stop doubting ourselves and start believing we deserve our dreams. If Rachel's journey inspires you, please subscribe and share what dream you're working toward in the comments below. Let's encourage each other. The rest of the trip passed in a blur of final contract details, celebratory dinners, and growing friendships. Francesca took Rachel shopping on their last day, insisting she needed proper Italian leather shoes and a handbag. You're part of our family now, Francesca said, linking her arm through Rachel's as they walked through Milan's fashion district. And family takes care of family. On the flight home, Rachel stared out the window at the clouds below, thinking about how completely her life had transformed. 6 months ago, she'd been pushing a cleaning cart. Now she was flying home from Italy with a 6-figure job, new friends, and a future so bright it almost hurt to look at. But the best part wasn't the money or the title or even the travel. The best part was finally being seen, being valued, being recognized for the work she'd put in and the person she'd become. Kindness had opened doors. Hope had given her courage. And love, for learning, for growth, for the belief that hard work mattered, had led her to this moment. She was just getting started. Rachel's second trip to Milan felt different from the first. 3 weeks had passed since accepting the dual position, and she'd spent every day preparing, learning Giovanni's company structure, studying European distribution networks, practicing industry-specific Italian vocabulary until the terms felt natural in both languages. This time she traveled alone. Brandon and the team would arrive 2 days later for the contract signing ceremony, but Giovanni had requested Rachel come early to meet the people she'd be working with directly. The flight attendant smiled as Rachel boarded. "Welcome back, Miss Holloway." Rachel blinked in surprise. "You remember me?" "Of course. You were so excited on your first trip. How did it go?" "Better than I could have imagined. I got a promotion." "Congratulations. That's wonderful." Such a small kindness, but it set the tone for everything that followed. Rachel settled into her business class seat, pulled out her laptop and reviewed her notes one more time. She wanted to make the best possible impression. Milan's airport felt familiar now. She navigated customs easily, collected her luggage and found the driver holding a sign with her name. Not Sterling Global, this time. Just Rachel Holloway. She was expected. Anticipated. No. The driver greeted her warmly in Italian. "Benvenuta a Milano, Signorina Holloway. Come stato il volo?" "Welcome to Milan, Miss Holloway. How was your flight?" "Tranquillo, grazie. E bello essere di ritorno." "Peaceful, thank you. It's good to be back." They chatted easily during the drive. He'd been Giovanni's driver for 15 years, had 2 daughters in university, loved American jazz music. Rachel filed away these details, understanding that relationships mattered in Italian business culture. Everyone deserved to be seen and valued, from the CEO to the driver. The hotel was different this time. Not the luxurious Palazzo Parigi, but a comfortable business hotel closer to Giovanni's offices. More practical for daily commutes. Rachel didn't mind. She wasn't here for vacation. Her room was simple but clean, with a small desk and a window overlooking a quiet street. She unpacked her new clothes, hung her green and blue suits carefully, arranged her toiletries in the bathroom, making the space her own. A knock on the door interrupted her organizing. She opened it to find Francesca standing in the hallway, dressed in a bright red coat, her dark hair loose around her shoulders. "Sorpresa," Francesca said with a grin. "Surprise. I thought you might want company for dinner. Giovanni gave me your hotel information." "Francesca, I wasn't expecting you until tomorrow." "I know. But I was free tonight and I thought, why should Rachel eat alone in a strange city? So here I am." Warmth flooded through Rachel. "That's incredibly kind. Thank you." "No thanks necessary. We're friends now. Friends don't let friends eat alone." Francesca linked her arm through Rachel's. "Come. I know a place with the best carbonara in Milan." The restaurant was small and crowded, filled with locals rather than tourists. Francesca greeted the owner by name, kissed his cheeks and requested her favorite table by the window. Over pasta and wine they talked. Not about business at first but about life. Francesca shared stories about growing up in Giovanni's shadow, being the smart cousin everyone expected to take over the company someday but who'd chosen marketing instead because she loved creativity more than manufacturing. "Giovanni understood," Francesca said, twirling pasta on her fork. "He told me life is too short to do work that doesn't make your soul happy. So I created my own path." "That took courage." "Maybe. Or maybe just stubbornness." Francesca laughed. "My mother says I've been stubborn since birth." She's probably right. Rachel shared her own story more fully than she had before. Growing up with a single mother who worked 3 jobs. Losing her mom to cancer just as Rachel graduated from community college. Raising her younger sister while working as a janitor. The long nights of study. The moments of doubt. "I almost quit so many times," Rachel admitted. "The Italian classes cost money we didn't have. Angela needed things. There were months I chose between textbooks and groceries. But you didn't quit." "No. Because quitting felt like admitting my life would always be what it was. And I couldn't accept that." Francesca reached across the table and squeezed Rachel's hand. "You're remarkable. You know that. I'm just someone who got lucky." "No. Luck is winning the lottery. You earned everything you have through hard work and determination. That's not luck. That's character. The simple validation made Rachel's eyes burn with tears she refused to shed. Thank you for saying that. I'm saying it because it's true. Francesca released her hand and sat back. Now let's talk about tomorrow. You're meeting the team at 9. There are 12 people in the international division. Most speak English, but they'll be impressed if you use Italian. Show them you respect their language and culture. I plan to. Good. Some of them are skeptical about the American partnership. Not because they doubt Sterling Global, but because change makes people nervous. You'll need to win them over. How do I do that? Be yourself. Listen. Show genuine interest in their work. Italians can smell fake charm from a kilometer away, but they respond to authentic kindness. Rachel absorbed this advice, grateful for Francesca's guidance. Any other tips? Yes. Marco Santini runs the distribution network. He's brilliant but proud. If you need something from him, ask his opinion first. Make him feel valued and he'll move mountains for you. Francesca counted on her fingers. Isabella Romano handles quality control. She's a perfectionist who trusts data more than people. Bring her numbers and facts, not feelings. And Paolo Costa manages logistics. He's warm, funny, loves to talk. Let him tell stories. He'll adore you. Rachel took mental notes, understanding that Francesca was giving her a gift. Inside knowledge. The kind of insights that took years to develop on your own. They lingered over dessert, talking about everything and nothing. Books they loved. Movies that made them cry. Dreams they still harbored. By the time Francesca dropped Rachel back at her hotel, they'd moved from friendly colleagues to genuine friends. Sleep well, Francesca said, hugging Rachel goodbye. Tomorrow will be wonderful. I know it. Rachel slept better than expected, her mind quiet with confidence rather than anxiety. She woke early, dressed carefully in her blue suit, and arrived at Giovanni's headquarters 15 minutes before 9. The building looked different in morning light. Bustling with activity. Workers streaming through the doors. Delivery trucks at the loading docks. The hum of productivity and purpose. Giovanni met her in the lobby himself, dressed in a gray suit that made his silver hair look distinguished. Rachel. Benvenuta. Come stay. Welcome. How are you? Bene grazie. Excitata per iniziare. Good, thank you. Excited to start. Excellent. Il team è riunito nella sala conference. Andiamo. Excellent. The team is gathered in the conference room. Let's go. He led her through hallways lined with photographs showing the company's evolution over decades. Workers from the 1950s standing proudly beside machinery. Ribbon-cutting ceremonies. Award presentations. A legacy built on quality and integrity. The conference room held 12 people arranged around a large table. They stood when Giovanni and Rachel entered, their expressions ranging from curious to guarded. Tutti questa è Rachel Holloway, Giovanni announced. Everyone, this is Rachel Holloway. Rachel sarà il nostro coordinatore delle relazioni internazionali per la partnership con Sterling Global. La tratteremo con lo stesso rispetto che mostrereste me. Rachel will be our international relations coordinator for the partnership with Sterling Global. You will treat her with the same respect you show me. The message was clear. Rachel had Giovanni's full support. She stepped forward, meeting each person's eyes as she spoke in Italian. È un onore lavorare con tutti voi. So che questa partnership rappresenta un cambiamento, il cambiamento può essere difficile. Ma credo che insieme costruiremo qualcosa di straordinario. Spero che possiate vedermi come una risorsa e un'aliata, non come una strania. Sono qui per imparare da voi tanto quanto per contribuire. It's an honor to work with all of you. I know this partnership represents change and change can be difficult. But I believe together we'll build something extraordinary. I hope you can see me as a resource and an ally, not an outsider. I'm here to learn from you as much as to contribute. A woman in her 50s with sharp eyes and perfectly styled silver hair nodded approvingly. Isabella Romano, Rachel guessed. The quality control perfectionist Francesca had mentioned. A younger man with an easy smile raised his hand. Il tuo italiano è impressionante. Dove hai studiato? Your Italian is impressive. Where did you study? Community College negli Stati Uniti. Corsi serali per 5 anni mentre lavoravo a tempo pieno. Community College in the United States. Evening classes for 5 years while working full-time. Respect flickered across several faces. They understood hard work. Dedication. The meeting lasted 3 hours. Each person presented their role in the company, their concerns about the partnership, their hopes for what it could achieve. Rachel listened intently, took notes, asked thoughtful questions. Marco Santini, the distribution manager Francesca had warned about, was indeed proud and particular. Rachel made sure to defer to his expertise frequently. Marco, based on your experience, what timeline makes sense for rolling out Sterling Global's products across European markets? She asked. He straightened slightly, pleased to be consulted. I would suggest a phased approach. Start with Italy and Germany where we have strongest relationships. Expand to France and Spain in quarter 2. Then smaller markets in year 2. That sounds strategic and well-reasoned. Would you be willing to develop a detailed timeline I could share with Sterling Global? Of course. I'll have it ready by Friday. Perfetto. Grazie mille. Isabella Romano presented quality control protocols with the precision of a surgeon. Rachel listened carefully, then asked, what metrics would you recommend we track to ensure Sterling Global's products meet your standards? Isabella's stern expression softened slightly. I can prepare a full metrics dashboard. Product defect rates, customer satisfaction scores, return percentages, safety compliance data. That would be incredibly valuable. I want to ensure we're measuring what matters most. Good. Many Americans focus on speed over quality. You seem to understand quality comes first. Always. A reputation takes years to build and minutes to destroy. Isabella actually smiled. Is adamant. Exactly. Paolo Costa, the logistics manager, was exactly as Francesca described. Warm, talkative, enthusiastic. He launched into a 20-minute explanation of shipping routes that could have been condensed to 5 minutes, but Rachel let him talk, asking follow-up questions, showing genuine interest. You really understand logistics, he said finally, looking pleased. I'm learning from an expert, Rachel replied. I hope you'll be patient with my questions as we move forward. Pazienza? For someone who listens this well? You can ask me anything anytime. By the time the meeting ended, Rachel had made genuine connections with each team member. Not everyone was completely won over yet, but the ice had broken. Foundations were laid. Giovanni walked her out, his arm around her shoulders in a fatherly gesture. You were perfect. Respectful but confident. Humble but capable. They like you. I hope so. I genuinely like them. That comes through. That's why it works. He paused outside his office. Rachel, I want to tell you something. When I started this company, people doubted me. I was young. Inexperienced. Just my grandfather's heir, they said. Not a real businessman. That must have been hard. It was. But it taught me that respect is earned through action, not titles. You've earned my respect. Now you're earning theirs. Keep being yourself and you'll succeed here. Thank you, Giovanni. That means everything. He squeezed her shoulder gently. Go explore Milano for a few hours. Enjoy the city. Tomorrow we'll start the real work. Rachel spent the afternoon wandering Milan's streets. She visited the Duomo, standing in awe beneath its soaring Gothic spires. She walked through the Galleria Vittorio Emanuele II, admiring the glass ceiling and elegant shops. She sat in a small piazza drinking espresso, watching Italian life flow around her. This was her life now. Milan and meetings. Translation and international relations. Professional clothes and business class flights. She pulled out her phone and texted Angela, I think I'm really doing this. I think this is really my life. The response came quickly, it is your life. Stop being surprised and start enjoying it. Love you. That evening, Francesca texted an invitation to join her family for Sunday dinner. Rachel accepted immediately, touched by the inclusion. Sunday arrived warm and bright. Francesca picked Rachel up in a small red car, music playing loudly, her energy infectious. My mother is excited to meet you, Francesca said as they drove through residential neighborhoods. I told her about the brilliant American who speaks perfect Italian. She's making enough food for 20 people even though only 8 will be there. Should I bring something? Just yourself. And be prepared for questions. My mother will interrogate you about everything. The family home was a beautiful 3-story building with a garden full of lemon trees. Francesca's mother, Maria, met them at the door with the kind of warm embrace that made Rachel's heart ache for her own mother. Benvenuta, benvenuta, Maria said, kissing Rachel's cheeks. Francesca mi ha parlato tanto di te. Francesca has told me so much about you. The house filled with family over the next hour. Francesca's father, Luigi. Her brothers Carlo and Antonio with their wives and children. Giovanni arrived with a beautiful woman in a green dress whom he introduced as his wife, Elena. They gathered around a long table in the garden, food appearing in endless courses. Pasta. Roasted vegetables. Chicken with herbs Rachel couldn't name. Fresh bread. Wine from Luigi's cousin's vineyard. Maria sat beside Rachel, asking gentle questions about her family, her life, her journey. Rachel found herself sharing more than she'd planned, something about Maria's kind eyes making honesty feel safe. Your mother would be proud, Maria said softly when Rachel mentioned losing her mom. She raised a daughter with dignity and determination. That's a mother's greatest success. Tears pricked Rachel's eyes. Thank you for saying that. I say it because it's true. Now eat more pasta. You're too thin. Laughter bubbled up despite the emotion. This family had welcomed her completely, no hesitation, no judgment. Just open hearts and generous spirits. As the sun set over the garden, Giovanni raised his wine glass. To new friends and new partnerships. To Rachel, who reminds us that talent has no borders and dreams have no limits. Everyone raised their glasses, smiling at Rachel with genuine warmth. To kindness, Rachel added quietly. And to people who see potential in others. The glasses clinked together, a sound like possibility crystallizing into reality. Walking back to the car later, Rachel felt full in every sense. Full of food. Full of wine. Full of connection and belonging. Thank you for sharing your family with me, she told Francesca. They're your family now too. That's how we do things. Once you're in, you're in. Rachel looked back at the house, lights glowing warmly in the darkness, and felt something settle in her chest. Hope had brought her here. Kindness had opened these doors. And love, the kind that showed up in shared meals and warm embraces and people who saw you for who you really were, would carry her forward. She was exactly where she was supposed to be. The contract signing ceremony was scheduled for Thursday afternoon, but the real work happened in the 3 days leading up to it. Rachel spent Monday through Wednesday in back-to-back meetings, translating negotiations, clarifying terms, smoothing over misunderstandings before they became problems. Brandon and the Sterling Global team arrived Tuesday evening. Rachel met them at the airport, feeling strange to be the one greeting them on foreign soil instead of following nervously behind. Look at you, Timothy Chin said with a genuine smile. You look like you live here now. I feel more comfortable than I expected, Rachel admitted. It shows. You're carrying yourself differently. More confident. The observation pleased her more than she'd expected. Confidence hadn't come easily. She'd had to build it piece by piece, success by success, kind word by kind word. Wednesday morning brought the final contract review. Both teams sat around Giovanni's largest conference room, lawyers on both sides examining every clause, every term, every potential area of dispute. Rachel translated for hours, her voice growing hoarse but her focus never wavering. When the American legal team questioned a liability clause, she explained the Italian legal context that made their concern unnecessary. When the Italian team balked at a payment timeline, she helped Brandon explain the accounting requirements that made it necessary. You're doing more than translating, Jennifer Park observed during a break. You're actually negotiating. I'm just helping both sides understand each other. That's what negotiation is. Finding common ground. You're good at it. The American CFO's praise meant more than Rachel wanted to admit. Jennifer had been one of her harshest skeptics initially. At 2 in the afternoon, Marco Santini raised a concern about distribution territory boundaries. The language in the contract didn't match what he'd understood from earlier conversations. This says we have exclusive rights to Western Europe only, he said in Italian, frowning at the document. But I thought we agreed on all of Europe except UK and Ireland. Rachel translated the concern. Brandon shook his head. We can't give up Eastern Europe. We have existing relationships there we need to maintain. The room tensed. This was the kind of misunderstanding that could derail everything. Rachel looked between both sides, thinking quickly. May I make a suggestion? Both Brandon and Giovanni nodded. What if we define it more specifically? Western Europe exclusively for Giovanni's company. Eastern Europe remains open for both parties to pursue independently, but with a right of first refusal for Giovanni's company if Sterling Global receives any Eastern European orders. That way Brandon maintains existing relationships but Giovanni has opportunity to expand if he wants. Both men were quiet, considering. The right of first refusal would need time limits, Brandon said slowly. If an Eastern European company wants our products, Giovanni would have 72 hours to match or beat any competing distributor offer. Rachel translated. Giovanni nodded. That's fair. And Sterling Global agrees not to actively market in Western Europe since that's our exclusive territory. Agreed. Rachel drafted the new language on the spot, first in English, then translating to Italian. Both legal teams reviewed it. Both approved it. Crisis averted. Giovanni caught Rachel's eye across the table and mouthed, "Grazie. Thank you." The meeting ended at 6 in the evening. 10 hours of intense negotiation. Rachel's head pounded. Her throat was raw. But the contract was finalized. "Dinner to celebrate," Giovanni announced. "All of us. My treat." They went to an elegant restaurant overlooking the city. Rachel found herself seated between Francesca and Brandon, both of whom seemed determined to make sure she ate and drank and relaxed after the intense day. "That distribution territory solution was brilliant," Brandon said quietly. "Both sides got what they needed. That's the mark of a skilled negotiator. I just tried to find middle ground. Most people try. Few succeed." He raised his wine glass. "To Rachel Holloway, who's proven herself invaluable." Francesca clinked her glass against Brandon's. "To Rachel, who makes miracles look easy." "Not easy," Rachel protested. "Never easy." "Maybe not," Francesca agreed. "But you make it look that way. That's a gift." Thursday morning brought final preparations. The signing ceremony was scheduled for 2 in the afternoon, with both companies' boards of directors attending. Media would be present. This was a significant moment for both organizations. Rachel dressed in her red suit, the one that made her feel powerful and confident. She checked herself in the mirror, hardly recognizing the woman looking back. 6 months ago, she'd been invisible. Today she was essential. The ceremony took place in Giovanni's largest presentation hall. Cameras flashed as Giovanni and Brandon signed multiple copies of the contract. Both men made brief speeches about partnership and mutual success. Then Giovanni did something unexpected. "Before we end," he said in Italian, which Rachel translated simultaneously, "I want to acknowledge someone without whom this partnership would not exist. Rachel Holloway came into our lives just a few months ago, but her impact has been extraordinary. She didn't just translate words. She built bridges. She found solutions. She reminded all of us that business is ultimately about people connecting with people." He gestured for Rachel to join him at the podium. She walked up on shaking legs. "Rachel, you started as someone nobody noticed, but you saw your own potential even when others didn't. You worked harder than anyone had a right to expect. And when opportunity finally arrived, you were ready." Giovanni smiled warmly. "You inspire me. You remind me why I built this business. To create opportunities. To recognize talent. To believe in people's ability to grow beyond where they started." He pulled a small box from his pocket and handed it to her. "A small token of our gratitude and respect." Inside was a beautiful watch. Simple, elegant, expensive. Engraved on the back in Italian, "Il tempo premia chi crede." Time rewards those who believe. Rachel's vision blurred with tears. "Grazie Giovanni. Non so cosa dire." "Thank you Giovanni. I don't know what to say. Just keep being yourself. That's all we ask." The applause that followed felt like acceptance. Like belonging. Like everything she'd worked for crystallizing into this single moment. After the ceremony, media wanted interviews. Rachel found herself answering questions about her journey, her role, her perspective on international business. She spoke honestly about starting as a janitor, about night classes and determination, about people who'd believed in her when she'd barely believed in herself. "What advice would you give to others in similar situations?" a reporter asked. Rachel thought about Angela watching at home. About other people cleaning offices late at night while dreaming of something more. Never let anyone else's perception of you limit your perception of yourself. If you want something, learn everything you can about it. Work harder than everyone else. And when opportunity comes, even if it terrifies you, say yes. Because kindness opens doors, but hope and courage walk you through them. That evening, both teams celebrated together one last time. The Americans would fly home Friday morning. Rachel would stay another week, working with Giovanni's team to implement the partnership logistics. Brandon pulled her aside during dinner. "The board wants to offer you a VP position. Vice President of International Relations. Salary bumped to $200,000 base plus bonuses. You'd be the youngest VP in company history." Rachel's breath caught. "I don't know if I'm ready for that level." "You are. You've proven it. But think about it. Talk to Giovanni. Make sure it works with your commitments to his company." Brandon smiled. "Whatever you decide, know that we value you. Deeply." Later, Francesca and Rachel walked through Milan streets, enjoying the night air. "Giovanni wants to make you Director of International Partnerships," Francesca said. "Same level as me." Board member track if you want it. Director? That's too much. It's not. You've earned it. Both companies see your value. Francesca linked her arm through Rachel's. This is your life now. Success. Recognition. Respect. Stop being surprised and start enjoying it. Rachel laughed, the sound echoing off ancient buildings. You sound like my sister. Then she's wise. Listen to both of us. They stopped at a fountain, water splashing softly in the darkness. Rachel looked up at the stars barely visible through Milan's lights. A year ago I was invisible, she said softly. Nobody saw me. Nobody valued me. I wasn't sure I valued myself. And now I'm standing in Italy, being offered positions I didn't know existed, working with people who've become friends. It feels like a dream. It's not a dream. It's your life. The life you built through years of hard work and believing in better tomorrows. Francesca was right. This wasn't magic. This was consequence. Good things following hard work. Kindness returning kindness. Hope rewarded with opportunity. Rachel pulled out her phone and texted Angela, "They want to make me a VP. I think I'm going to say yes." The response came immediately, "Yes. Say yes. I'm so proud of you." Rachel looked at Francesca, at this friend who'd appeared in her life just weeks ago but felt like family. "I'm going to say yes." "Good. Now let's go celebrate properly. I know a place with the best gelato in the city." They walked through Milan's illuminated streets, two friends celebrating possibility. Behind them lay months of struggle and doubt. Ahead lay a future Rachel was finally brave enough to believe in. Love had led her here. Not romantic love, but the love of learning. Of languages. Of believing humans could connect across cultures. Of trusting that hard work mattered and kindness multiplied and hope, persistent hope, could change everything. She'd been right to believe. Rachel spent her final week in Milan working 16-hour days. The contract was signed, but implementation required countless details. Distribution schedules. Marketing coordination. Quality control protocols. Legal compliance in multiple countries. She loved every exhausting minute. Marco Santini met with her daily, walking through warehouse logistics and shipping routes. His initial pride had transformed into genuine warmth once he realized Rachel treated his expertise with real respect. "You could have just told us what to do," he said one afternoon, spreading maps across his desk. "Americans usually do. They think they know everything. I don't know everything. That's why I'm learning from you." He smiled, the expression softening his stern features. "You're different. Good different. I'm glad you're part of this partnership." Isabella Romano invited Rachel to observe quality inspections. For 3 hours, Rachel watched the perfectionist examine products with microscopic attention, checking dimensions, testing materials, documenting everything. "Quality is truth," Isabella said as they reviewed data. "You cannot lie about a measurement. Either it meets specifications or it doesn't. I appreciate people who value truth." "So do I." "I know. That's why we'll work well together." Paolo Costa took Rachel to dinner one evening, insisting she needed to understand Italian food culture to truly understand Italian business culture. "We don't separate life and work like Americans," he explained over pasta. "Business is life. Life is business. We build relationships first, transactions second. You understand this naturally. My mom used to say people remember how you made them feel more than what you said. Your mother was wise. Giovanni is the same. He could have chosen any American company. He chose Sterling Global because Brandon treated him like a friend, not a transaction. Now you do the same with all of us." These moments of connection meant more to Rachel than any title or salary. She was building real relationships. Creating a professional family across continents. Friday evening, Giovanni invited Rachel to his home for dinner. The house sat in the hills outside Milan, a beautiful villa surrounded by gardens that had been in his family for 3 generations. Elena, his wife, greeted Rachel with warm kisses and immediately pulled her into the kitchen to help prepare dinner. "Giovanni talks about you constantly," Elena said, handing Rachel vegetables to chop. "Rachel said this. Rachel solved that. Rachel is brilliant. I had to meet this remarkable woman myself." Rachel felt herself blush. "He's exaggerating." "He's not. My husband is many things, but he doesn't exaggerate about business. If he says you're brilliant, you are." They cooked together for an hour, Elena teaching Rachel traditional recipes while asking gentle questions about her life, her family, her dreams. The older woman reminded Rachel of her mother. Kind eyes, patient voice, genuine interest in others. Over dinner, Giovanni shared something Rachel hadn't known. My father didn't want me to expand internationally, he said, pouring wine. He thought it was too risky. Too complicated. He wanted me to keep the business small and safe. What changed his mind? Rachel asked. He died before I could prove him wrong. So I built this company for him to show him his son was capable of more than he believed. Giovanni's expression grew thoughtful. I see myself in you, Rachel. Someone fighting to prove they're more than others assume. It's exhausting but powerful. It is exhausting, Rachel agreed. Sometimes I still wake up certain someone will realize they made a mistake hiring me. That feeling never completely goes away. I still have moments where I think my success was luck, not skill. He smiled. But then I remember the work I put in. The sacrifices I made. The nights I studied while others slept. Same as you. Elena reached over and squeezed Rachel's hand. The difference between you and many others is that you keep working even when you're afraid. That's courage. The conversation shifted to lighter topics, but Giovanni's words stayed with Rachel. She wasn't alone in her doubts. Even billionaires question themselves sometimes. Sunday afternoon, Rachel's phone rang. Brandon. I know you're still in Milan, but I wanted to check in. Have you thought about the VP position? I have. The answer is yes. I'd be honored to accept. Excellent. I'll have contracts ready when you're back. Rachel, this is just the beginning for you. I hope you know that. After hanging up, Rachel stood on her hotel balcony watching the city. Vice President of International Relations. Director of International Partnerships in Italy. 2 major positions in 2 different companies, both valuing her skills and perspective. Her phone rang again. This time Giovanni. Rachel, I have something to discuss. Can you come to the office Monday morning? Early before the team arrives? Of course. Is everything okay? Everything is wonderful. I just have a proposal for you. A big one. Curiosity kept Rachel awake half the night. What proposal? They'd already discussed her director position. What else could there be? Monday morning found her in Giovanni's office at 7, coffee in hand, nerves humming. Giovanni sat behind his massive desk, but he gestured for Rachel to join him in the comfortable chairs by the window instead. Less formal. More intimate. I've been thinking about the future, he began. This partnership with Sterling Global is just the start. I want to expand into Asia next, then South America. But international expansion requires someone who understands cultural bridges, language, relationship building. That makes sense. I want you to lead that expansion. Not just as Director of International Partnerships, but as VP of Global Strategy. You'd build teams in each region. Develop partnerships. Create the same kind of connections you've built here. Rachel's heart hammered. That's enormous. Yes, it would mean significant travel. Living in different countries for months at a time. Learning new languages, new cultures. Giovanni leaned forward. But I believe you could do it. More importantly, I believe you would love it. I would, Rachel breathed. But what about my role with Sterling Global? I've discussed it with Brandon. He's supportive. He suggested you split your time. 6 months with each company annually. You'd maintain your VP title with Sterling Global but take on this expanded role with us. That's incredibly generous of both of you. It's not generous. It's smart business. You're valuable, Rachel. Rare. The kind of person who comes along maybe once in a career. Giovanni smiled warmly. I'm offering you $300,000 annually for your work with my company. Brandon will maintain your $200,000 salary. $500,000 total base, plus bonuses and equity in both companies. The number was so large Rachel couldn't quite process it. $500,000. The janitor from 6 months ago. I need to be honest, Rachel said slowly. Part of me still feels like I'm not qualified for this level of responsibility. That's called imposter syndrome. It affects many successful people. But let me ask you something. Have you failed at anything I've asked you to do? No. Have you disappointed anyone on my team or Brandon's team? I don't think so. Have you solved problems, built relationships, and exceeded expectations consistently? Yes. Then you're qualified. Your doubt comes from years of being underestimated. But I'm not underestimating you. I'm seeing you clearly and offering you what you've earned. Tears gathered in Rachel's eyes. When my mom was sick, she told me that opportunities don't come to everyone, but when they come, you have to grab them with both hands. Even if you're scared. Your mother was wise. She was. So I'm going to grab this opportunity with both hands. Yes, I accept. With gratitude and excitement and determination to prove your faith in me wasn't misplaced. Giovanni stood and pulled Rachel into a hug. Welcome to your future. It's going to be extraordinary. Rachel hugged him back, this man who'd seen potential in a janitor who spoke Italian, who'd taken a chance on someone nobody else noticed, who'd become mentor and friend and family. Thank you, she whispered. For everything. No, thank you. For reminding me why I built this company. For showing me that investing in people is always the best investment. That afternoon, Rachel called Angela with the news. $500,000? Her sister repeated in a daze. Did you just say $500,000? I did. Angela screamed so loud Rachel had to pull the phone from her ear. Oh my God. Oh my God. Rachel. Mom. Oh my God. I know. You did it. You actually did it. From cleaning toilets to $500,000. That's impossible. Apparently not. It happened. I'm so proud of you. So incredibly proud. When are you home? We need to celebrate properly. Friday. And Angela? Part of that money is yours. You supported me through everything. Covered bills when I couldn't. Believed in me when I doubted myself. We're going to take care of each other now. Both of us. Her sister's tears were audible through the phone. I love you so much. I love you too. More than anything. That evening, Francesca took Rachel to a rooftop bar to celebrate. The city spread below them, lights twinkling like stars brought to earth. To the future, Francesca said, raising her champagne glass. To success. To friendship. To women who refuse to accept limitations. To kindness that opens doors, Rachel added. And hope that walks us through them. Their glasses clinked together, the sound clear and bright in the warm Italian air. Rachel looked out at Milan, this city that had become a second home. Soon she'd explore other cities. Learn other languages. Build other partnerships. But this place, these people would always be where it started. Where invisible became visible. Where hope became reality. Where hard work became opportunity. And where love, in all its forms, led her forward into a future brighter than any dream she dared to imagine. 6 months passed in a blur of purposeful chaos. Rachel split her time between Milan and home, living out of suitcases but loving every minute. She built teams. Developed relationships. Learned the subtle differences between doing business in Italy versus America. The partnership between Giovanni's company and Sterling Global exceeded everyone's projections. Products moved smoothly across borders. Quality remained high. Sales climbed steadily. Rachel's role evolved beyond translation into genuine strategy. She identified new market opportunities. Suggested product modifications for European tastes. Helped both companies navigate cultural differences that could have become conflicts. You're not just connecting companies, Brandon told her during a video call. You're creating a new model for international partnership. Other businesses are taking notice. He was right. Rachel had been approached by 3 other companies asking if she'd consult on their international expansions. She declined, wanting to focus on her current responsibilities, but the offers validated what she'd built. In Milan, she'd assembled a small team. 2 translators she'd personally trained. A cultural consultant who helped both companies understand market nuances. An administrative coordinator who kept everything running smoothly. You're good at this, her lead translator, Sophia Bennett, said one afternoon. Sophia was a young woman from London with an Italian mother and British father who'd studied 5 languages and understood the complexity of cultural bridging. Building teams. Developing people. You see potential in others. Because someone saw potential in me, Rachel replied simply. The scholarship program Giovanni had mentioned became reality that fall. He'd allocated €2 million to fund education for service workers who wanted career advancement. Rachel led the program, reviewing applications, selecting candidates, mentoring recipients. The first cohort included 12 people. A janitor learning accounting. A cafeteria worker studying engineering. A security guard pursuing law. Each with dreams bigger than their current circumstances. Each reminding Rachel of herself a year ago. She met with them monthly, answering questions, offering encouragement, connecting them with resources. Watching them grow filled her with purpose deeper than any business deal. This is the most important thing I do, she told Giovanni after one particularly moving mentorship session. More important than contracts or negotiations. I know. That's why I asked you to lead it. Money makes money, but people make meaning. You understand that. Francesca had become Rachel's closest friend. They talked daily, met weekly when Rachel was in Milan, supported each other through professional challenges and personal struggles. I broke up with Luca, Francesca announced one evening over wine. Luca had been her boyfriend of 3 years, a nice man who'd wanted marriage and children immediately. Are you okay? Honestly? Yes. I love him, but we want different futures. He wants traditional family life. I want to build this company, travel, create things. Neither is wrong, but they're incompatible. Rachel squeezed her friend's hand. That took courage. It took honesty. With him and myself. Francesca sipped her wine. You inspire me, you know. Watching you go after what you want without apology. It made me realize I need to do the same. You've always gone after what you wanted. In business, yes. But in personal life, I was settling. Being what others expected instead of who I am. Francesca smiled. Not anymore. From now on, I'm choosing authenticity over approval. Their friendship deepened through honesty and mutual support. They celebrated wins together. Processed failures together. Built the kind of relationship that transcended professional networking into genuine sisterhood. Back home, Rachel had finally moved into a real apartment. 2 bedrooms in a safe neighborhood with actual closet space and a kitchen that fit more than one person. Angela visited often, both of them still marveling at how much had changed. Remember when we shared that tiny place with the broken heater? Angela said one evening, curled up on Rachel's new couch. I remember everything. The roaches. The landlord who ignored our calls. Eating rice and beans for weeks because it was all we could afford. And now look at you. Multiple 6-figure salaries. International travel. Your face in business magazines. The magazine feature had surprised Rachel. A major business publication had run an article titled, From Janitor to Executive, Rachel Holloway's Remarkable Rise. She'd been reluctant to participate, uncomfortable with attention, but Giovanni and Brandon had both encouraged her. Your story matters, Brandon had said. It shows people that hard work and education really can change lives. That's important. The article had generated unexpected responses. Emails from people around the world sharing their own stories of starting from nothing and fighting for better. Rachel answered every one personally, offering encouragement and advice. One email particularly moved her. From a woman in Texas who cleaned offices at night while studying for her nursing degree. I was ready to quit, the woman wrote. The exhaustion felt unbearable. But then I read about you and I thought if she could do it, maybe I can too. Thank you for not giving up. It gave me permission to keep going. Rachel framed that email and hung it in her office. On days when imposter syndrome whispered that she didn't deserve her success, she read those words and remembered that her journey mattered beyond herself. Winter brought new challenges. The Asian expansion Giovanni had mentioned began taking shape. He wanted to enter Japan and South Korea first, then expand to China and Southeast Asia. I need you to spend 3 months in Tokyo, Giovanni said during a planning meeting. Learn the market. Build relationships. Find the right partners. Rachel had never been to Asia. Didn't speak Japanese. But the old fear that would have paralyzed her a year ago barely registered now. When do I leave? January. After the holidays. I'm sending Francesca with you for the first month. Between you two, you'll figure it out. Learning basic Japanese occupied Rachel's Christmas break. She hired a tutor, practiced daily, immersed herself in language learning with the same intensity she'd brought to Italian years ago. Angela teased her mercilessly. You're the only person I know who spends Christmas vacation learning Japanese. I want to be prepared. You're always prepared. That's your superpower. Actually caring about being good at things. The Christmas they shared was the best of Rachel's life. She bought Angela thoughtful gifts. They cooked a huge meal together. They video called extended family, everyone asking about Rachel's success, proud and amazed in equal measure. Your mother would burst with pride, an aunt said, tears in her eyes. She always knew you'd do something special. That night, alone in her apartment, Rachel pulled out the watch Giovanni had given her. Time rewards those who believe. She traced the Italian words with her finger, thinking about belief in time and the strange alchemy that turned dreams into reality. She believed. Even when it seemed foolish. Even when evidence suggested otherwise. She believed in education and hard work, in the possibility of better tomorrows. And time had rewarded that belief with opportunities beyond imagination. New Year's Eve found Rachel at a company celebration Giovanni hosted at his home. Both teams mixed freely now, relationships built over months of working together. Timothy Chen swapped vacation stories with Marco Santini. Jennifer Park discussed quality metrics with Isabella Romano. Cultures blending. Barriers dissolving. At midnight, as fireworks exploded over Milan's skyline, Giovanni raised his glass. To partnerships, he said. To people who bridge divides. To Rachel Holloway, who showed us all that the best investments are investments in human potential. Everyone raised their glasses. Rachel felt tears threaten but smiled through them. To kindness, she added. To hope. To love in all its forms. To second chances and the people brave enough to give them. The glasses clinked. The new year began. And Rachel stepped into it knowing that everything she'd built was just the foundation. The real work, the meaningful work, was still ahead. Tokyo in January was cold, crowded, and completely overwhelming in the best possible way. Rachel and Francesca arrived jet-lagged and energized, ready to tackle a market that intimidated most Western businesses. Their hotel overlooked the city, millions of lights spreading in every direction. Rachel stood at the window that first night, coffee in hand despite the late hour, thinking about the journey that had led here. 18 months ago, she'd been invisible. Now she was in Japan, preparing to build business relationships across another cultural divide. Not bad for a janitor, she whispered to her reflection. The first week was pure learning. They met with consultants who explained Japanese business culture, the importance of harmony, the value of indirect communication, the long process of building trust before discussing business. Patience is essential, their primary consultant, Hiroshi Tanaka, explained through a translator. Americans want quick decisions. Japanese want thorough relationships. You must adapt to succeed here. Rachel and Francesca spent weeks attending introductions, exchanging business cards with precise two-handed gestures, learning to read social cues that differed dramatically from Western norms. Rachel's willingness to learn Japanese, even imperfectly, opened doors. Business contacts appreciated the effort, saw it as respect for their culture. Your Japanese is rough, one potential partner said with a smile. But your attempt is beautiful. It shows humility and dedication. By month 2, real negotiations began. A major Japanese retailer expressed interest in carrying Giovanni's products. But the discussions moved at a glacial pace compared to American or even Italian business. Rachel learned to sit through 3-hour meetings where actual business occupied maybe 15 minutes. The rest was relationship building, tea drinking, polite conversation about topics unrelated to work. This is torture, Francesca whispered during one particularly long session. This is culture, Rachel whispered back. We adapt or we fail. The breakthrough came unexpectedly. During their 8th meeting with the retailer's team, Rachel mentioned studying Italian the same way she was studying Japanese. Long nights after work. Deep respect for the culture. Belief that language revealed how people thought. The lead negotiator, an older man named Kenji Yamamoto, paused. You learned Italian while working a different job? Yes, sir. I was a janitor for 5 years while studying. His expression shifted. My father was a janitor. He cleaned offices so I could attend university. He believed education opened doors. My mother believed the same thing. Something fundamental changed in that moment. Kenji saw Rachel differently. Not as a foreigner trying to take advantage of Japanese markets, but as someone who understood struggle and sacrifice and the value of hard work. The deal closed 2 weeks later. Terms favorable to both sides. Distribution agreements that would put Giovanni's products in hundreds of Japanese stores. Rachel called Giovanni with the news, watching Tokyo's lights from her hotel room. You did it, he said, voice thick with emotion. I knew you would. We did it. Your products. Your vision. I just helped connect the dots. Rachel, stop diminishing your contribution. You earned this success. Own it. After hanging up, Rachel sat with those words. Own it. She'd spent so long being humble, being grateful, being careful not to seem arrogant. But there was difference between arrogance and acknowledging achievement. She'd earned this. Every bit of it. Francesca left after month 2 as planned, but Rachel stayed for the full 3 months. She built relationships beyond the retailer deal. Identified potential manufacturing partners. Learned the market deeply enough to develop real strategy. She also made friends. A translator named Yuki who introduced Rachel to her favorite restaurants. A business consultant named Akira who taught Rachel about Japanese management philosophy. A shopkeeper near her hotel who always greeted Rachel with a smile and helped her practice Japanese. These human connections mattered as much as business deals. Maybe more. Returning home in March felt strange. 3 months away had made her apartment feel unfamiliar. But Angela's hug at the airport grounded her immediately. You look different, her sister said. More confident. Like you finally believe you deserve everything you've built. Maybe I do believe it now. Good. It's about time. Work at Sterling Global had continued smoothly in her absence. Her team handled daily operations. Brandon kept major decisions on hold until Rachel returned. The company had grown to trust her judgment completely. "We need to talk about your career path," Brandon said during her first week back. "The board wants to promote you to Senior VP of Global Strategy. You'd oversee all international operations, not just the Giovanni partnership. That's enormous responsibility. You've proven you can handle it. The Japanese deal. The European success. The scholarship program. You're building something bigger than anyone anticipated." Rachel thought about Tokyo. About the patient work of building trust across cultures. About how much she'd learned by pushing outside her comfort zone. "I want to do it," she said. "But I have conditions." Brandon's eyebrows rose. "Conditions?" "Yes. I want budget to expand the scholarship program internationally. Japan, Italy, anywhere we do business. And I want to hire more people from non-traditional backgrounds. People like me who have potential but lack opportunity." "Done. Anything else?" "Pay equity audits across the company. Make sure we're paying people fairly regardless of background or previous experience." Brandon smiled. "You're thinking like a leader. I like it. I'll bring your conditions to the board, but I'm confident they'll approve everything." The promotion came through within 2 weeks. Senior VP of Global Strategy. $250,000 from Sterling Global. $350,000 from Giovanni's company. $600,000 total plus bonuses that could push it close to $1 million annually. Numbers Rachel still couldn't quite believe were real. She celebrated with Angela, with Francesca via video call, with her team at Sterling Global. But the celebration that mattered most was the one she had alone. Rachel drove to the cemetery where her mother was buried. She sat on the grass beside the headstone, tears streaming down her face. "We did it, Mom. Everything you worked for. Everything you believed in. It happened." The spring breeze felt like an answer. Like her mother's hand on her shoulder. "I'm going to keep making you proud. I promise." Summer brought the scholarship program's first graduations. 12 people completing degree programs. Finding new jobs. Starting careers that matched their abilities rather than their circumstances. Rachel attended every graduation, hugged every recipient, cried happy tears at each ceremony. One graduate, a former security guard named James Mitchell who'd earned his accounting degree, pulled Rachel aside. "I need to tell you something. When I got accepted to this program, I almost turned it down. Thought I was too old, too far behind, too unlikely to succeed. But you called me personally. Told me your story. Convinced me to try. I remember. That phone call changed my life. I start at a major accounting firm Monday. Real salary. Benefits. A future for my kids." His voice cracked. "Thank you. For seeing something in me I didn't see in myself." Rachel hugged him, understanding exactly how he felt. "Pay it forward. That's all I ask. Help someone else when you can." "I will. I promise." These moments made everything worthwhile. The long hours. The constant travel. The pressure. Knowing she was creating opportunities for others made every sacrifice meaningful. Fall brought new challenges. Giovanni wanted to expand into South America. Rachel began learning Portuguese and Spanish simultaneously, preparing for Brazil and Argentina. "You're insane," Francesca said during one of their weekly video calls. "You know that, right?" "Probably. But I love it. Learning languages. Understanding cultures. Building bridges between people. You found your calling. It's beautiful to watch." The year ended with the partnership's annual review. Both companies' boards met jointly to assess progress. The numbers exceeded every projection. Revenue up 40%. Market share expanding in 3 continents. Customer satisfaction scores at all-time highs. But the metric that mattered most to Rachel was different. Employee satisfaction surveys showed workers in both companies felt more valued, more heard, more hopeful about their futures. "That's leadership," Brandon told her after the presentation. "Caring about people, not just profits." Giovanni echoed the sentiment. "You've transformed both our companies. Not just made us money, though you've done that too. But changed how we think about potential and possibility." That night, Rachel treated her entire team to dinner. The translators, coordinators, consultants. Everyone who'd supported the work. "This success belongs to all of us," she said, raising her glass. "To teams that function like families. To work that matters. To building something bigger than ourselves." The glasses clinked. The team celebrated. And Rachel felt the deep satisfaction of knowing she'd used her opportunity not just for personal success but to lift others alongside her. Kindness had opened her door. Hope had walked her through. And love, for people and purpose and the possibility of positive change, had guided every decision. The journey wasn't over. More countries to explore. More languages to learn. More people to help. But Rachel was ready. For all of it. 2 years after the phone call that changed everything, Rachel Holloway stood in Sterling Global's largest conference room addressing an audience of 300 people. Service workers from both companies. Janitors, security guards, cafeteria staff, maintenance workers. The scholarship program had expanded beyond imagination. What started with 12 participants now included 200 active students across 6 countries. Partnerships with universities in America, Italy, Japan, Brazil, and Spain provided education in fields from nursing to engineering to business. I stood where you're standing 2 years ago, Rachel said into the microphone, her voice steady and confident. Invisible. Overlooked. Dreaming of something more but not sure how to get there. I worked night shifts cleaning these very offices while studying Italian in the break room. She gestured around the conference room. I vacuumed this carpet. Emptied those trash cans. Wiped down this very podium. And I never imagined I'd stand here as Senior Vice President of Global Strategy, but here I am. Not because I'm special. Because I refused to accept that my circumstances defined my potential. 300 faces looked back at her. Hope and doubt mixed in equal measure. She recognized that combination. Had lived it herself. This program exists because someone saw potential in me when I didn't see it in myself. Because Giovanni Rossi and Brandon Hayes believed investing in people was investing in the future. Because kindness and opportunity can change lives. Rachel clicked to the next slide. Photos of scholarship recipients who'd completed their programs. James the accountant. Maria the nurse. Kevin the software engineer. Dozens of faces representing transformed futures. These are your colleagues. People who sat in these same chairs 2 years ago, wondering if they could really do it. They did. And so can you. The application packets distributed at the end of the session disappeared within minutes. Rachel stayed for hours afterward, answering questions, offering encouragement, seeing herself reflected in every hopeful face. One young woman approached nervously. I'm Shanice Williams. I clean the executive floor. I've been studying graphic design online for 3 years, but I can't afford formal school. What kind of design interests you most? Marketing materials. Brand identity. Making companies look professional and appealing. Rachel pulled out her business card. Email me your portfolio. If it's as good as your passion suggests, I might have an internship opportunity in our marketing department. Paid position while you study through the scholarship program. Shanice's eyes filled with tears. You do that. Someone did it for me. Now I do it for others. That's how this works. Watching Shanice walk away with renewed hope reminded Rachel why she'd accepted every challenge, every promotion, every opportunity that scared her. Not just for personal success but to create pathways for others. That evening, Rachel had dinner with Angela at their favorite restaurant. Her sister had recently started her own business, a consulting firm helping small companies improve their human resources practices. Rachel had invested seed money and connections. We're both doing it, Angela said, raising her wine glass. Building the kind of lives Mom dreamed about for us. She'd be proud of you. Your company is going to help a lot of people. She'd be proud of both of us. But especially you. You took a chance when it mattered most. Rachel thought about that phone call 2 years ago. The moment she'd pushed through fear and doubt to offer her translation skills. The executives who'd mocked her. The terror of possibly failing publicly. She'd risked everything on one chance. And it had changed her entire life. I'm grateful every day, Rachel said softly. For that moment. For Giovanni and Brandon believing in me. For you supporting me through everything. I always knew you'd do something amazing. I just didn't know it would be this amazing. The next morning brought a video call with Giovanni and Francesca. They met weekly now to coordinate global operations and maintain their friendship despite physical distance. I have news, Francesca announced, her face glowing on the screen. I'm opening our Asia Division headquarters in Singapore. I'll be living there half the year starting next month. That's incredible, Rachel said. Congratulations. It's because of you. Watching you build the Japan operation showed me I could do the same in other markets. You inspired me to think bigger. Giovanni smiled warmly. We're all growing. The partnership is expanding into Africa next year. Rachel, I'd like you to lead that initiative. Africa. New cultures. New languages. New opportunities to build bridges. Yes, Rachel said without hesitation. Absolutely yes. After the call, Rachel walked to her office window. The city spread below, busy with morning traffic and human activity. Somewhere down there, someone was cleaning offices and dreaming of more. Someone was studying late into the night, hoping education would open doors. Someone was invisible, waiting for a chance to be seen. She couldn't help them all, but she could help some. And those some would help others. Ripples spreading outward from single acts of kindness and opportunity. Her phone buzzed. A text from Giovanni, board meeting next month. We're recommending you for VP of Global Operations. Equity stake in the company. Full partnership track. You've earned it. Rachel stared at the message. VP of Global Operations. Partnership track. She'd gone from cleaning this building to potentially owning part of an international corporation. The old fear whispered that it was too much, too fast, that she didn't deserve it. But the new confidence, built through 2 years of succeeding at impossible things, spoke louder. She deserved it. Every bit of it. Rachel typed back, I'm honored and grateful. Thank you for believing in me. Giovanni's response came immediately, thank you for proving my belief was justified. You've exceeded every expectation. That afternoon, Rachel mentored 3 scholarship recipients. Answered emails from program applicants. Reviewed expansion plans for the South American operations. Every task connected back to her core purpose, creating opportunities and building bridges. Evening found her at a speaking engagement. A local community college had invited her to address their evening students. People working full-time jobs while pursuing education. Her people. The path isn't easy, she told them honestly. I chose textbooks over social life. Study over sleep. I made sacrifices that hurt. But those sacrifices bought me a future I never imagined possible. She shared the whole story. The cleaning cart. The night classes. The fear of offering help that might be rejected. The phone call with Giovanni. Every success and stumble along the way. What advice would you give us? A student asked during Q&A. Those of us working and studying and barely holding it together? Rachel thought carefully before answering. First, be kind to yourself. You're doing something hard. Give yourself credit for showing up. Second, build community. Find people who understand your journey. You need support. Third, when opportunity comes, even if it terrifies you, say yes. The risk of trying beats the regret of wondering what if. She paused, making eye contact with as many students as possible. And finally, remember that kindness opens doors. Hope walks you through them. And love, for learning, for growth, for the belief that you deserve better, will lead you forward. Trust that. Trust yourself. You're more capable than you know. The applause felt warm and genuine. After her speech, students lined up to thank her, share their stories, ask for advice. Rachel stayed until the last person left, giving everyone her full attention. Driving home that night, Rachel called Angela. I think I finally understand why this all happened, she said. Why? Not just for me. For everyone who comes after me. Every person I can help. Every door I can open for someone else. That's what makes the success meaningful. Mom used to say that, Angela said softly. Success isn't what you achieve. It's what you help others achieve. She was right. She was right about everything. That weekend, Rachel visited her mother's grave again. She did this monthly now, sharing updates and seeking the peace that came from connecting with her mom's memory. The scholarship program is helping 200 people now, she said, sitting cross-legged on the grass. I'm expanding into Africa next year. Giovanni is making me a partner in his company. Brandon trusts me with major decisions. Francesca is running Asia operations. Angela has her own business. She traced her mother's name on the headstone. We did it, Mom. Everything you worked for. Everything you believed possible. It happened because you taught me that hard work matters and kindness multiplies, and hope, persistent hope, can change everything. The spring breeze carried the scent of flowers. Rachel closed her eyes, feeling her mother's presence in the warmth of the sun, the softness of the grass, the quiet of this sacred space. I'm going to keep making you proud. I promise. Not just by succeeding myself, but by helping others succeed. By being the kind of person who sees potential in people others overlook. By believing in second chances and hard work and the power of education to transform lives. She opened her eyes, looking at the blue sky above. Thank you. For everything you sacrificed. For believing in us. For teaching us that our circumstances don't define our possibilities. I love you. Always. Walking back to her car, Rachel felt lighter. Grounded. Connected to purpose deeper than titles or salaries or international success. This was why she'd kept studying when exhaustion made her want to quit. Why she'd offered her translation skills despite terrifying fear of rejection. Why she'd said yes to every opportunity that pushed her beyond comfort. Not just to change her own life but to prove that change was possible. That janitors could become executives. That invisible people could be seen. That dreams, backed by hard work and supported by kindness, could actually come true. Monday morning brought a new challenge. A young translator on her team, a woman named Diana Carter who reminded Rachel of herself 3 years ago, made a costly mistake on an important document. The error could have damaged client relationships. Rachel called Diana into her office. The young woman arrived pale with fear, clearly expecting to be fired. "Tell me what happened," Rachel said gently. "I misunderstood a technical term. Translated it incorrectly. I'm so sorry. It won't happen again." "How will you ensure it doesn't happen again?" Diana looked surprised by the question. "I'll create a glossary of technical terms. Double-check translations with native speakers before submitting. Build in quality control steps." "Excellent plan. Implement it immediately." "You're not firing me?" "Why would I fire you for making a mistake while working hard and learning?" "Because I messed up. Cost the company money and credibility." Rachel smiled. "Diana, let me tell you a story. 2 years ago, I was a janitor who offered to translate for a billionaire. I was terrified I'd make mistakes. And I did make mistakes. Small ones that I caught quickly. But Giovanni and Brandon didn't fire me. They helped me improve. They gave me grace while I learned. Now I'm giving you the same grace." Diana's eyes filled with tears. "Thank you. I won't let you down. I know you won't. Because you care. People who care eventually succeed. It just takes time and patience and commitment to growth." After Diana left, Rachel thought about how different this moment was from how many managers would have handled it. Firing the person. Making an example. Leading through fear instead of support. But that wasn't the kind of leader she wanted to be. She wanted to lead with the same kindness she'd received. Build teams through encouragement rather than intimidation. Create environments where people could take risks and learn from failures. That evening, Rachel video called with Giovanni and Brandon together. The three of them did this monthly now, aligning strategy across companies. "I want to propose something," Rachel said. "A leadership development program for employees showing potential but lacking traditional credentials. Similar to the scholarship program but focused specifically on management training." Both men listened as she outlined her vision. Identifying talented workers regardless of role. Providing mentorship, training, and pathways to leadership positions. Creating diverse leadership that reflected all levels of the organization. "I love it," Brandon said immediately. "When can we start?" "I love it too," Giovanni agreed. "This is exactly the kind of thinking that sets us apart. Rachel, you have full authority to develop and implement this program." After the call, Rachel sat back in her chair, amazed at how far she'd come. 2 years ago, she'd been afraid to speak up in meetings. Now she was proposing company-wide initiatives and receiving immediate approval from 2 powerful CEOs. Not because they were doing her favors. Because they trusted her judgment and valued her perspective. She'd earned that trust. Day by day. Success by success. Proving herself worthy of the opportunities she'd been given. Spring turned to summer. The scholarship program graduated its 2nd class. The leadership development program launched successfully. Rachel spent 3 weeks in Brazil building the South American operation. Every day brought new challenges and new triumphs. On a warm June evening, Rachel stood on stage at a major business conference. She'd been invited to speak about building successful international partnerships. 2,000 people filled the auditorium. "Success isn't about being the smartest person in the room," she told them. "It's about being the most willing to learn, the most committed to growth, the most open to seeing potential in unexpected places." She shared her story one more time. But this telling felt different. Less about her individual journey and more about the lessons anyone could apply. "When I was a janitor, people looked through me like I was invisible. That invisibility hurt. But it also taught me to see others. Really see them. The security guard who's studying law at night. The cafeteria worker who speaks 4 languages. The maintenance person who's brilliant with technology. They're all there working hard, dreaming big, waiting for someone to notice." She paused, looking out at the sea of faces. "My challenge to you is this: be the person who notices. Be the one who gives chances. Be the leader who values potential over pedigree. Because the next transformative hire might be cleaning your office right now." The standing ovation lasted 5 minutes. People approached afterward with stories of their own unlikely journeys. Connections made. Hope shared. This was the work that mattered most. Not the deals or the titles. The human impact. The ripple effects of kindness and opportunity spreading outward through lives and communities. That night, Rachel called Angela from her hotel room. "I think I've found my purpose," she said. "What is it?" "Opening doors. That's what I'm meant to do. Use my position and resources to create opportunities for people who otherwise wouldn't have them. Everything else is just details." "That's beautiful. And very you. Mom taught us that, didn't she? That life is about lifting others." "She did. And you're living it perfectly." Fall brought the news that the partnership would expand into Africa. Rachel would lead the initiative, spending 6 months in Kenya building operations and relationships. "This is what I've been preparing for," she told her team during the announcement. "Everything we've learned in Europe, Asia, and South America applies here. New culture, new challenges, but same core principles: respect, patience, and genuine human connection." Her team had grown to 15 people. Translators, analysts, coordinators. Each person carefully selected for both skill and character. She built a culture of excellence and kindness, proving the two weren't mutually exclusive. As the year ended, both companies celebrated record success. Giovanni's expansion into global markets had tripled his company's value. Sterling Global's international division, which Rachel led, now represented 40% of total revenue. At the annual celebration, Giovanni made an announcement that shocked everyone. "I'm promoting Rachel Holloway to Chief Global Officer of both companies. She'll have equity in both organizations and a seat on both boards. Her compensation package reflects her enormous value, $1 million base salary plus performance bonuses." The applause was thunderous. Rachel stood on shaking legs, hardly believing this moment was real. $1 million. Board seats. Chief Global Officer. Giovanni embraced her warmly. "You've earned every bit of this. Never doubt it." Brandon shook her hand with genuine warmth. "Best decision I ever made was letting you answer that phone 2 years ago." Rachel looked out at the room full of colleagues who'd become friends and family. At faces representing 6 countries and dozens of cultures. At the team she'd built through careful selection and patient development. "Thank you," she said into the microphone, her voice thick with emotion. "But this success belongs to all of us. Every person who took a chance on someone unusual. Every team member who worked hard and lifted others. Every scholarship recipient who proved potential matters more than credentials." She thought about the journey. The cleaning cart. The night classes. The fear. The hope. The people who'd believed in her. The people she now believed in. 2 years ago I was invisible. Today, I'm Chief Global Officer of 2 international companies. If that's possible for me, imagine what's possible for every person willing to work hard, stay humble, and never stop learning. She raised her glass. To kindness that opens doors. To hope that walks us through. To love in all its forms, that leads us forward. To second chances and the courage to take them. To every person here who makes this work meaningful. Thank you. The glasses clinked. The celebration continued. And Rachel Holloway, formerly invisible, now finally seen, stepped forward into a future built on purpose, powered by possibility, and guided always by the principles her mother had taught her. Hard work matters. Kindness multiplies. Hope, persistent hope, can change everything. She'd proven it. Was still proving it. Would keep proving it for everyone who came after. The journey wasn't over. It was just beginning.